All right, so that was certainly a show. There were certainly games at that show. Gamescom opening night live. Let's review this bad boy. I just got finished watching the show, and yeah. Listen, I never go into these with high expectations, and I think that saves me a lot of frustration because the shows are never that great. This was another one that was not that great, and I leave completely unfazed, completely unsurprised by that. There were some cool things, worth talking about, like there are at all of these shows, so we'll talk about it, but just kind of first, dive into some overall thoughts on it. Um, I think we are in the spot where you see Summer Game Fest, you see Opening Night Live, and they're so close to one another that I just think they kind of steal each other's shine a little bit. Like some cool announcements that could be at ONL aren't because of Summer Game Fest. Some cool announcements that might have been available for, Summer Game Fest, they may have saved those for ONL and vice versa. So like it's just I wonder, do we really need both of those shows so close to one another? It might make more sense to have one per season. You know what I mean? Like 4 big shows a year, or maybe even just 3 big shows a year. Honestly, I think 2 is probably all you need. The Game Awards and Summer Game Fest, or the Game Awards and ONL. You kind of pick whichever summer show you want and have one every 6 months, and that's kind of your big update period. But I don't know. It's if you go into these shows, if you go into ONL, if you go into Summer Game Fest, if you go into these shows with very low expectations, and you're like, all right, I know what I'm going to get here, and it's probably not going to be much. And then anything above and beyond that, it just surprises and delights. That's kind of the attitude that I take, when going into these shows. But I would imagine that many, many people do not feel the same way. So listen, I get it. Not a great show. I could not refute that opinion. But for me, like, there's some things in here that got me hyped, some things I want to talk about. So overall, like, listen, if we got to grade this thing, of course, you're talking about a D, maybe even lower than a D, somewhere in that range. Not great at all in terms of when you look at this compared to like any good showcase. It's not comparable to those, but it's comparable to like a Summer Game Fest. They're just typically not good. Nothing's really going to change, but at least we got a couple hours worth of game footage to look at and sit there and consume. Capital fucking C, consumer. Yeah, how about we go ahead and hop into the list? I'm not going to go through absolutely every single game that was revealed because we'll be talking about a whole lot of gotcha and a whole lot of, we'll save that for a rainy day. But we're going to go through and I'm going to cover like mainly the new stuff. I want to talk mainly about the new stuff. There's going to be, a few updates in there as well for games we already knew about, but I mainly want to just kind of look at, oh, damn, I didn't know anything about this and it got revealed here. That's the type of stuff that makes me excited for video game showcases more so than like, oh, here's the 5th trailer for this game that's about to come out in a couple weeks. Like that doesn't do much for me, but we got a couple of those in there that we'll talk about as well. But the first one on the docket, here we go. Densha Attack. I'm going to call this fucking Miss Frizzle's Pro Bus Skater 7. And I don't even think it's a bus. I think it's a train. I don't think you're driving a bus, but I don't know. It's yellow, so we'll call it a bus. And yeah, this is kind of one of those games. You see it and you're like, just when I thought video games couldn't get more batshit insane, Miss Frizzle comes fucking driving out in her latest and greatest bus to grind some rails. And yeah, you're on this damn bus train thing and you're grinding rails, doing tricks and dodging attacks. And I wish I could break this down any more than that, but I have no idea what the purpose of this game is. I have no idea what your motive is. I have no idea how you got into a train that can do kickflips, but I'll take it. I'll take anything and everything like this, feed it all into my veins. We do not get enough extreme sports games, and I don't know, I guess now the newest extreme sport is going to be train fucking jumpy jumps. Great analysis right there, man. Just wonderful. And another game that really jumped out to me was this game called Valor Mortis. This is coming from the creators of Ghost Runner, which I'm kind of surprised that this was relegated to the pre-show with, I mean, Ghost Runner's a pretty big franchise. Well, not franchise, but those two games were both pretty successful as far as I'm aware. And yeah, it opens up, you see your character get shot, and you inject yourself with some virus, and you turn into this tyrant zombie thing. I don't know if that's necessarily your character, but the character that they're showing. And yeah, it's a first-person Elder Scrolls clone, Scrolls clone, whatever you want to call it. And I'm looking at the description here. It actually says it's a single-player first-person Souls-like, taking place in an alternate history, Eastern Europe during a fictionalized version of Napoleon's invasion. So a first-person Souls-like, that definitely diminishes my hype a little bit, but still curious because I feel like this has much more of a Scrolls-like to it than Souls-like, if you will, in my opinion. But, we'll obviously see when the game releases. And should mention a closed playtest will be held in the coming weeks for it, and the official launch is in 2026, launching on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series consoles. So yeah, Valor Mortis, definitely have my eye on that. But we got to shout out the game of the show, Road Kings. I don't know what to tell you, man. This shit was fucking hilarious. It was presented like it was about to be some big cinematic blockbuster, and I'm sitting there and I'm like waiting for the twist, but no. I don't think there's a twist. I think it's just a game where you drive an 18-wheeler, and for some reason they gave it that trailer that was extremely story-focused and extremely cinematic. And yeah, at the end of the trailer, you see like this big-ass tornado that you're about to drive into. Like, I don't know. I gotta be real. I hate to admit this, but just based on that trailer alone, it piqued my curiosity 10 times more than I would ever be curious about any sort of simulation game. And I do think that's ultimately what this game is going to be, just another sim style game where you're driving an 18-wheeler opposed to running a gas station, or opposed to running a card shop, or opposed to, what's like the Mud Runner simulator. Like, they have a simulator for fucking everything. But that trailer was so damn, it was just weird. It was such a weirdly presented trailer that it piqued my curiosity. So shout out to fucking Road Kings, I guess. I'm sure I'll have no interest in the actual game, but you got my attention at the very least, which is something I can't say for a lot of these trailers. Black Ops 7, we got our first look at here at O&L. It's set in 2035. It's set in Nicaragua. It's set in Los Angeles. It's set in Tokyo. It's set in Alaska. They got Metallica's Master of Puppets backing all of this information in the trailer with and then they had what was it? Was it Will You Bite the Hand That Feeds You? What was it? 9 Inch Nails Hand That Feeds, or was it Head Like a Hole? Because they had one of those two songs in Black Ops 6 at some point, and then they had the other one in the trailer for Black Ops 7. So they at least picked decent songs to reveal that they'll have 745 locations for you to visit. And listen, I think this trailer looks really good. I'm sure this isn't going to appeal to the most hardcore Call of Duty fan base because, I don't know, this looks really different, really weird, really out there to me. But once again, that's kind of what is appealing about it to me personally. I loved Black Ops 6, the campaign in Black Ops 6, and I have no interest in playing the multiplayer stuff whatsoever, which I know that's what most people are there for. But just from a purely a vibe standpoint, it's got a lot of weird Remedy shit going on, and it had a lot of weird Remedy shit going on in Black Ops 6. So like leaning more into that weird psychological shit, that's very, very appealing to me. So yeah, and supposedly Black Ops 2 has one of the weirder, wilder stories where they kind of lean into choice and consequence to some degree. And yeah, they also announced that there's a co-op campaign as well. You can play with up to 4 players in a co-op campaign, and then they close the trailer and there's like some mode where it's a top-down shooter as well. Just there was a lot, and it was a 2-minute little window, 3-minute little window, and there was a lot of information just hitting your brain. And it's dropping on November 14th for Black Ops 7. But Now we got the big dog coming out. Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. It is time for the return of the Lego, and it's the same team from the Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga game. And yeah, this is an open world, action adventure title. You can choose your Batmobile. You can fly around the city. Kind of looks like it has some flow-based Arkham-styled combat. I'm not sure if it's exactly that, but it does look like you're countering and somewhat in that flow, in that rhythm for certain, gameplay shots in this trailer, combat-oriented shots in the trailer. It looked very, very Arkham-adjacent. And yeah, the VO sounds great. The humor is solid. They showed a few story beats in here, and you can definitely see quite a few that are inspired by the Dark Knight trilogy of sorts, but I don't think it's directly copying the beats from those movies, because they talk about it. The developer came out and he was talking about like it's an origin story of sorts, and so it's got like you're going in and having to train as Bruce Wayne and kind of upgrading your Batman to become the Dark Knight over the course of the game, which I actually really like that. That was kind of one of the things about the Skywalker Saga that, I mean, I did finish the game. I liked the game a lot, but that was one of my main, not complaints, but if I would have put the game down, I think it would have been primarily because I've seen that shit before, and if this is leaning into a little bit more of its own lore and trying to build up its own story and say something new, like, that's much more interesting to me. So yeah, and for the first time ever in a Lego game, I think they said that they're going to add a Dark Knight mode, is what they're calling it, which is a harder difficulty setting. So that's sick. And yeah, you're playing as different characters. You got Catwoman in there, Commissioner Gordon, and yeah, it's releasing in 2026. So I'll definitely be checking that out. If this is what I have to listen, we don't have many options, man. If you want to play a good single-player Batman game, you don't have many options to do so. So if this is all I can get, I guess I'll sit there and eat this up with a smile on my face. And listen, I'd play this even if we had, more Arkham games coming out and other games of that ilk. I'd still happily play this. I think this looks really, really good. So shout out Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. And we got Chocobos from Final Fantasy coming into Monster Hunter. And we had like a 20-minute presentation talking about that collaboration, which was nice. Yeah. Yay. Fallout Season 2 was also... we got the confirmation that you are heading to New Vegas in Season 2, and I absolutely adored Season 1. Probably my favorite video game related... I don't know. I think that might be my favorite video game related adaptation of all time in any space, film, television, whatever. Like, I really fucking loved Fallout Season 1. And it's just fun, lighthearted. It's something to kind of put on and turn your brain off a little bit. It's not... that's the thing about The Last of Us, is like I can only take so much Last of Us content. I love it. I loved Season 1 of The Last of Us on HBO. Love the games, obviously. But, like... you can only take so much. It's really fucking depressing, really bleak, and Fallout's just so fun. It's like, just go chill. It's not that serious. Put the fucking show on, eat some popcorn, like, quit taking life so damn seriously. It's just one of those, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it's like just some totally mindless fucking thing. Like, there are compelling plot points throughout Fallout Season 1, and then, like, you can get really invested in the story, but more than anything, it's just like, chill out. Here's a cool show to watch. And yeah, I'm absolutely down for that in December. What was it? December 17th for that. So I'll be signing back up to, what did he call it? Fallout Prime, Fallout Amazon Prime, whatever the hell. I forget the dude's name, but he was announcing it. It'll be available December 17th on Fallout Prime, just like a little mix up there. So yeah, I'll be signing up for Fallout Prime on December 17th for Fallout Season 2. Can't wait for that. And the next thing that was, interesting to me was Zero Parades. So this is Za/It's a new game. the team behind Disco. Well, I shouldn't say the team behind Disco Elysium. It's not really the team at all anymore. There was all that insane drama with the studio, and I don't think many of the people who made Disco Elysium what it was are still at that studio. But once again, I always try to say this, like, I have no fucking clue about the goings on at these studios. I'm not there on a day-to-day basis, so I try not to judge all that shit and just judge the game for what the game is. Like, I really don't care about all their internal drama. You know, I hope that I hope everything works out where anybody that was wronged gets what is rightfully theirs. And you know, it's when you do look at this Zero Parades game, the quick snippet of gameplay that they showed, it looks very, 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 very similar from an aesthetic and gameplay standpoint to Disco. But it's like without the writers, and if the crucial kind of makeup, the core nucleus of what made Disco Elysium, if they're not there to create this, what the fuck was the name of it again? Zero Parades. It's like, it can look just like Disco Elysium, it can play just like Disco Elysium, but if it's 100% writing. You know what I mean? Like, Disco Elysium is not Disco Elysium without excellent writing. Nothing about Disco Elysium other than the writing is really all that compelling at all. So this is one of those weird examples where it's like, I don't really care to get into the goings on for what happened at that studio and who's right and who's wrong and all the drama. Like, that's not my place. I don't know these people personally, but at the same time, it's like, if the writers aren't there and the game's all about writing, I don't know what to tell you. It's kind of hard to get excited for this, but yeah, Zero Parades was announced at ONL, as was Indiana Jones coming to Switch 2 in 2026. That little fucking system is impressive, man. They're running some big boys. I know they're slowly rolling out, but like Star Wars Outlaws and Indiana Jones, and you got some like next-gen only games or current-gen only games that are actually going to be running on the Switch 2. Very, very impressive little system. Probably, I would assume, I would assume probably the ROG Ally is probably the most powerful handheld on the market, but other than that, wouldn't it probably be the Switch 2, if I'm not mistaken? Shout out to the old Switch 2. And Silent Hill F got a story-focused trailer that I dug this. It was just really, really dark. And the main character seemingly had like voices in her head telling her to like kill innocent people or some shit. That's the type of stuff that will sell me on Silent Hill. The gameplay is never really incredible in any of the Silent Hill games, but the stories can be absolutely god tier. And I was just hoping for something like this to sell me on the game. I was going to play it regardless. It's Silent Hill. I'll check it out. But, you know, when I look at the gameplay, I'm like, God, it's nothing here looks all that impressive. But hearing shit like this and dealing with some of these internal kind of monologues or just these internal demons, like that's the shit that's really, really going to get me in the door for Silent Hill. So Silent Hill F, another trailer for that. Nothing big, nothing new, just a little update. Bloober, we got another update for Chronos, The New Dawn, and then you saw the suit revealed on stage, which, like, sure. And then we got another trailer for the game, and I'm kind of at the point where I don't need to see any more Chronos, The New Dawn. I'm there, day one, 1000% sold. After what they did with Silent Hill 2 Remake, I don't need to be convinced at all for any of their upcoming projects, but yeah, you know, in this trailer, we're seeing more like environmental interaction. You can seemingly move items in the environment with some gravity gun of sorts. And you also have like the 0G sections from Dead Space pretty much ripped straight from Dead Space into Chronos. So yeah, you did what you could with Silent Hill. You did it to the, I mean, I'd say you did it to the max. Like, that's a very fucking good video game. And now you're doing it with Dead Space. I am on board. Next up, we had another trailer from The Outer Worlds 2 and Ninja Gaiden 4. Just kind of combining those into one since they're both Xbox-related IP or Xbox-related first-party adjacent kind of games. First-party for The Outer Worlds 2 and first-party adjacent for Ninja Gaiden 4. I think that is technically under the Xbox Game Studios umbrella, but yeah, neither game showed much new or anything that's going to sell you if you weren't already sold on either of those games, but I'm down for both of them without a doubt, so I didn't mind my eyes looking at something that felt very similar to the other trailers that I watched for those games multiple times, but it's like, hey, my eyes like what they see because it's two games that I really want to play. We got a new, like, very AI generated looking trailer for that Enzo game, and it's like an update of their new island DLC update, and shows a dude going to jail for some reason. And listen, I'm so down for a game like this. I just feel very, very skeptical about it. Krafton, they're backing it, and they got a lot of money from PUBG. They can throw money at shit. They threw over $100 million at the Callisto Protocol, a game that did not need $100+ million budget to be made. A 7-8 hour game. So they got a lot of money. And we absolutely need a new Sims style of game on the market that is actually pushing the technical boundaries and trying to do something new. And this is that. But like at the same time, it looks so fucking AI reliant. And not just to the point where like all games are fucking AI reliant and have been forever. But like this is just, I don't know. It gives you that kind of, that feeling in your stomach where you're like something just doesn't feel right with this game. But at the same time, I know a lot of people have played it, and it seems like a lot of people like it. So, Enzoy, new trailer. And also, new trailer for Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. We got another combat-centric look at the game. And it just feels like this team is trying to avoid showing like the choice and consequence and the story at all cost, which I think that is what everyone is waiting for with this game. But at the end of the day, I'm still really curious. Like I hope I'm wrong, and I hope that this game is great. And I don't think it looks horrible. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, I look at that trailer and I'm like, yeah, it looks fine. It looks like a fairly competent first-person action vampire game. And I'm so down for a first-person, very competent action vampire game. But I know what everyone loves about Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 1 is the story, the choice, the consequence, the role-playing, the agency, all that shit. And you're just not seeing that in these trailers. And I know that's a hard thing to convey in a trailer, but at the same time, you got to figure that shit out, man. Because I think it's doing you some marketing. You're taking some PR hits with this. Every time that's not revealed and it's more combat. I don't know. I don't think that's really what the fan base wants, but what do I know? Cult of the Lamb, we got some new DLC for that, and they're calling it a paid expansion dropping early 2026. I didn't write the name down, but it's Cult of the Lamb. It's some DLC, some more DLC coming to Cult of the Lamb. And the description reads, a lost god calls you from a mysterious mountain. Rebuild the flock and reawaken winter to uncover the truth of the fallen lambs. Face the past before it consumes you in this full-length expansion for Cult of the Lamb. Yeah, looks like more Cult of the Lamb. I really, really liked the base game, played it, finished it, enjoyed it, but I don't really have a yearning for more Cult of the Lamb. Maybe for like a sequel, but I don't think I'm going to be hopping in for DLC. What I will be hopping into, if this is a real game and actually ever releases, Project Spectrum. So I thought this looked excellent. It's like a first-person shooter, first-person horror shooter. Kind of looks like some Resident Evil like 7 and 8 vibes in there. And then you combine that with some weird, I don't know if you're necessarily possessing different creatures or if you're morphing into different creatures, but there's a certain spot of the trailer where you morph into this like spider and you're wall running alongside a building, and it's got some very, very weird shit going on in there. And then it also has like a dark, mature tone to the story. Very, very, just super atmospheric. And I dug everything about this trailer. And then I went and looked it up, and it's the team making it is the team that made that Delta Force game, the first-person shooter, which I don't know. That's I'm not necessarily saying that gives me more or less confidence. Just a weird little tidbit there for Project Spectrum. But I don't know. I think this trailer looks really, really damn good. There was nothing in that trailer that made me go, oh well, this kind of looks fake, or I don't think that, we get games like Project M, or we get games like that Mudang 2 Hearts game or whatever, where I look at the trailer and I'm like, is this a real game? Is this actually, is this some sort of scam? I don't really get that vibe with this Project Spectrum game. I'm like, everything in there looks doable. And it's kind of weird that we're at that point with video game trailers where you're looking for flaws and you're actually hoping for flaws in a trailer to be like, oh, okay, well, it's actually a game because that little weird fucking behavior with the enemy right there, this little stutter right there, just like these weird things that are immediately linked in our mind to, okay, that actually looks doable. Something with a flaw is actually more appealing than some procedurally generated super... I don't know. I don't know if y'all feel that same way, where there's certain trailers that almost look too good. Like Black Myth Wukong, which we'll talk about, and I guess spoilers, but early on with Black Myth Wukong, a lot of people were under the impression that it was just too good to be true, that game could never come out. But for that one, it actually did end up coming out and was, by all accounts, pretty damn solid. So, speaking of pretty damn solid and pretty damn excited, let's talk about Ghost of Yote. Got a new trailer for this game, more story focused, some actually really good facial animations in this trailer, but the big announcement was the Legends mode that will be available for free in 2026. So for anybody that wants to hop back into the Ghost verse in multiplayer, you will be able to do that in Yote for free in 2026. So that's always a nice little icing on the cake, sprinkle on the ice cream, if you will. But then the big dog came out to play, Resident Evil Requiem. We got a very, very brief look at gameplay for Requiem. We see Alyssa and her mom. I forget her mom's name, the lady from Outbreak. But yeah, they're escaping a hotel, and then the hotel manager comes out and he's like, "Hey, come this way!" And he's got his flashlight. Someone calls the phone and is like, "Is this the Ashford family?" And fucking, she's like, "Yeah." And then the lights get cut off, and then they go scrambling, running. They get their knives, their guns. The hotel manager runs up to them. Oh my! And then the hotel manager gets his fucking throat slit, and it's like, oh shit. And the dude's in like this really creepy get up. He's got his cloak and dagger, and he's all mutated looking, probably from the well, I guess I don't really know necessarily where that would line up narratively, but yeah, it's not much of a trailer, if I'm being honest. It's cool, it's atmospheric, got a great vibe to it. The character models look really impressive for a Resident Evil game, but at the same time, that's kind of all that we can really have as a takeaway. This was a nothing burger ass trailer. And I start thinking about this once again, and I'm like, okay, we got the reveal at Summer Game Fest, right? That was a nothing burger trailer. We get the re-reveal at Gamescom. That was another nothing burger trailer. It would be nice to put both of those nothing burger patties on top of one another and just get a double nothing burger trailer at one show, opposed to spreading this out, elevating the hype, and then you get to the next show thinking you're going to see gameplay, and you see, I mean, I guess you can call it gameplay, a very fucking brief snippet of gameplay. But to be fair, people are going to go hands-on with Resident Evil Requiem at O&L. I kind of think it'll probably just be the build that people already played at Summer Game Fest, like that the media played at Summer Game Fest. I don't think they would have time to build a whole new demo for O&L in just, a month and a half or so. I don't know. Yeah. I love Resident Evil more than 99% of the population. I adore the game, but I don't know how I can look at that trailer and just be like jumping for joy, or like that did absolutely nothing for me. Think it looks cool. Tonally interested as I can be based on absolutely no information. And maybe it is the thing, like the State of Play is rumored to be taking place late September. So maybe they're waiting to show the gameplay trailer at that State of Play. They always show up at State of Plays, RE4, RE3, RE8. They always show up at the State of Play. So maybe they're just waiting for the State of Play. And if that's the case, sure, fine. But yeah, I felt deflated when that trailer ended. I was like, man, that's that, huh? Okay. But Keely did the bait and the switch. She was like, all right, guys, thank you for tuning in. That's Resident Evil Requiem. Have a good night. Goodbye. And then did the whole thing. It was like, wait, well, 1 second before you leave. I got one last thing to show you. And it was Black Myth 2. Black Myth 2 was the one. Listen, I don't know. To be fair, this is like one of the best-selling games when it came out. What was that, 2020? That was last year, 2024. It's one of the best-selling games of the year. It sold, I think, close to 20 million copies at this point or something like that. Insane fucking numbers. But, once again, 2 Nothing Burger trailers back to back, because nothing was shown at this Black Myth 2 trailer either. You know, visual fidelity is on a different level, no doubt. Like, this game is so fucking impressive, as is Black Myth Wukong, as is the first game. And Black Myth 2 is incredibly impressive as well from a visual fidelity standpoint, although what we saw in that trailer is probably not going to be indicative of what we get in the final game. But at the same time, like, Black Myth 1 is already impressive as fuck to look at. So, like, I don't doubt that they're going to make a very, very fucking photorealistic, just top tier game from a visual standpoint. But just closing a trailer on a Nothing Burger like that for a game that's probably another, I mean, shit, when we first got the announcement of Black Myth Wukong, what was that, like 20, I mean, it had to have been before COVID, right? Like 2017, 2018, something like that. And then it didn't come out to 2024, so we're still a long ass ways away from this game ever seeing the light of day. So listen, I don't want to sound overly fucking negative. Like, I get it. It's a big game. It made a huge splash when it came out in 2024, but it's just kind of hard to get overly excited for a trailer like that. But yeah, that was pretty much Gamescom opening night live. Not great. I would say the game of the show, without a shadow of a doubt, by like a country mile, was Lego Batman. You know, and I'm not a Lego guy at all. I don't play those games other than the Skywalker Saga. I did think the Skywalker Saga was good, but not like top tier. So for my number one my most anticipated is obviously like Ghost of Yotei and Resident Evil and shit like that. But for new reveals for the game that got me the most excited to be a Lego Batman game, I guess that says multiple things. It says like, oh yeah, it'd be really nice to play a single player Batman game in 2020, I guess 6. We don't have many of those. And also, just kind of goes to show you that the rest of the show wasn't all that great. But hey, like I always say, we spent a couple hours looking at video games. I'm never going to complain about that. So shout out to Gamescom opening night live. Not a good show, but it was still a show with video games in it, so I'm never going to complain about that. Let me know in the comments down below what your number one reveal from Gamescom opening night live was. Let me know what your grade for the show overall was. And yeah, man, shoot the shit with me. Hit me in the comments if you think I'm crazy. If you're like, hey, what are you talking about? That was a B+ minimum show. Let me know. And hit me with, once again, there's probably a lot of announcements that might have caught your eye that didn't quite catch my eye, because there's a lot of shit going on, rapid moving, quick show. So might have been some things I missed out on there that you picked up on. So hit me in the comments down below if there are any big games I missed out on covering here. And yeah, that's it, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, and I'll see you good people in the next video. Goodbye.